Welcome back, everyone. Our next focus is on the increasing rate of killings in the southwest. And latest of this is report from Ondo State, where bandits attacked 4 communities in the dead of the night in the Akure North local government area of Ondo State last Monday, killing 20 people. For this and more, let's speak with Dr. Felix Olorunda, a security consultant. Dr. Olorunda, great to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm grateful for that you have me here.
Right, we appreciate you. Now let's start with Ondo State, which has been in the news because of the surge in criminality and killings. The state had always been a flashpoint, so this is not an entirely new development. But the turning point for many was the huge investment that went into securing the state with Amotekun, which was a way to curb the growing trend of insecurity by late Governor Akeredolu, which evidently arrested the situation. Why do you think there is a relapse?
Well, I think there's a relapse now because of there's no continual improvement. You remember that that happened with our last late governor because of what happened in Owo, which happened to be the hometown of our late governor when the Catholic Church was attacked and a lot of people were killed. And from there, the Amotekun was strengthened and in all parts of Ondo State, and they were able to repel and they were able to go after the invaders. But we have not had that continual, upscaling of the effectiveness or the power of the Amotekun to be able to continue, to upgrade their skill and maybe their equipment too. And maybe they are not motivated, and maybe there was like a relapse. And because I happen to come from Ondo State, I'm from the border town between Ondo and Kogi. Okay. And in our community, we have to come together. Most of us who are in diaspora, we have to support those that are back home, with having to pay their salaries, because government was not doing that. So we have to tax ourselves on a monthly basis to send money back home for, to motivate them. Yeah. And the young people that are at home that couldn't find employment, they were, brought into the Amotekun and Vigilante to be able to secure the community. That's what we have been able to do. So what I think other communities should do is the same thing, because definitely the government is not able to fund Amotekun to the, because the former governor was the commander general. It's not just about those states. I think it was about the Southwest. Yes. Remember, he was also the governor of the Southwestern, state then. So he was the one championing. Maybe the governor that is there now did not really, buy into that vision fully like the former governor. So there have been no, consistent, upgrading of the skill of the Amotekun. And maybe they are not motivated. So that is why we are seeing what we are seeing. But I know that now that we have what we have, I think the new governor, having been sworn in for a full term of 4 years, will be able to, with his, aid and security agencies now in the state, they'll be able to know, okay, we have work to do, because they have their first duty of any government is to be able to secure lives and property of citizens of the state.
Absolutely. If we are to expand this conversation beyond Ondo State, talking about the region, it looks like it's getting closer than we thought. There have been concerns in recent months over alleged movements of bandits and suspected terrorists from the northern part of Nigeria to the southwest. This is a region considered relatively more peaceful. Ondo State, we just finished our conversation about Ondo State. Ekiti State is there, or your state. These states have become hideouts for these criminals. Is this a matter of how did we get here, or what to do next?
Yes, I think, that Ondo State normally have boundary with Kwara, with Kogi. And, there was the time, let me just give you an example. There was a time, suddenly, we just saw in our community bordering Kogi State, we just saw this host of people with they just moved in.
What community is that, Dr. Olorunda?
Yes.
What community is that?
Ajowa Akoko,
okay.
Ondo State.
Okay.
So, and they just move in and suddenly without any notice. And they moved in with their families and they were going to settle in the community. it took the community people to say, no, 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 no. You can't just come from nowhere and you want to settle in our community without any notice. And so with all their lorries, with all their wives and children, so they were not allowed. So I can imagine what happened in other, I don't know of other communities. But this is what I mean happening. You have these invaders, they just come in and they want to settle in your community, in your forest, in your, in your farm, and they have their cows going about the farm, destroying property and attacking the farmers. And to the point that the farmers are not, they are afraid of going to the farm because we have one or two of our community members that were killing the farm. Yeah. That was before the Amotekun. So now the community has been secured by the combined effort of those of us who are in the diaspora, who are not at home, and members who are in the diaspora, joining hands together, to form, to build a community, vigilante that can secure the community. So what I know is that this issue can't be left to government alone. Okay. That every community now has to come together, because let us face it, you cannot have the armed forces policing every community in Ondo State or every community in Nigeria. You can't have the policemen. You don't have enough men in our forces, whether the police force, whether the armed forces, that can secure every community. So every community has to, join hands together to be able to secure their community. And when it becomes something that is beyond their capacity, then they can call on the armed forces, which are deployed at maybe strategic areas, and they can come and join forces with the community, people. Because you are not going to have a situation where you are going to have soldiers deployed in every community. We don't have the numbers in the armed forces. So there will be no time when we have that. So, but if the community, like when we're young, we know that we always have the hunters securing those communities, even when we don't have invaders. In the night, these hunters are the ones who secure the community against armed robbery, against all kinds of, foreign people that can come to the community. So it is now, and Amotekun is able to do that, but so that when you have more people in the Amotekun and they are trained, and they are given weapons that are registered by the state, because some of them, unless you arm them correctly, they will not be able to do much, because they can't go. All
right, Dr. Lorinda, so what you have established tonight is that community action is as important as state government deploying security personnel.
Yes.
All right. But of course, would you say Southwest governors are doing enough individually, or would you say they've slept for too long, they slept on for too long? I mean, we just talked about the surge in Ondo State. Ekiti State residents are also living in fear of what may happen anytime. You would look at Ekiti North, especially Yemeru and Ikole and the likes. They've not had peace. And basically the question is, are these governors doing enough?
No, they are not. Definitely they are not doing enough. And there's room for them to improve. And I think what's happening in Ondo State, particularly the last season that you referenced, is a clarion call. And it's a red flag that more needs to be done. And they can always come together because there's this Southwestern agenda and that they have, that they can come together and, just like it was done and Amotekun was approved for them by the federal government through the our late governor, they can come together and join hands together and build those Amotekun to the point that it's a formidable force, working with the police and other security agencies so that the Southwestern state can be secured.
Let me also bring this in, because I just remembered that over a year ago, stakeholders and groups in and across Yoruba land, Afenifere, for instance, had tasked President Bola Tinubu to summon the necessary political will to address the increasing security in the country by convening a community stakeholders meeting to tackle these insecurity challenges. For you, how do we tighten our loose end at this point?
Yes, I've always known that security, like even the armed forces of Nigeria have been saying, that is all people's approach. It cannot be for the armed forces alone. So the community stakeholders, the critical stakeholders who are community people, who are every citizen in the local community has to come together, has to realize that they have to join hands together to secure their communities. The invaders The invaders can't come from the traditional community that we have had for centuries, and we now have foreign people coming and threatening us in our homeland. So we have to rise up to the occasion. We have to rise up to the challenge. Because from time immemorial, communities have always been empowered. Traditional institutions have always been invoked to secure all these communities. So we can't just shy away from it and say, oh, because they are this, they are that, and we yield our community to them. So this is the time for us to do that. We don't have to even wait for the president to do that, because the president cannot do that for us.
But how can this, Dr. Olorunda, how can this be further encouraged? Is it about funding? Is it about participatory or observational participation? Or what exactly would it be this time? Because I know when you say community action, it also covers the role of traditional and religious institutions, as well as relationship between security operatives and the people, the locals, the indigenous. So how can this be further encouraged?
Well, I know that the countries, we are going through a lot of economic challenges. And that's why I keep referencing my own community, that we have to devise our own funding system. Every month, we have some amount of money that we contribute to the community. Those of us who are not based at home, those of us, some of us, our community members who are in diaspora, they help. In fact, there was a group that was formed, by the community, elite-based community members of the community. A clarion call was made to them. And so there's an amount of money that they contribute every month. They contribute to even buy motorcycles for these vigilantes. So it helped them to go to the, all the nooks and crannies of the community to be able, because we were facing a lot of these criminals, to the point that our farmers were afraid to go to the farm. And you know that this is just the nature of the economy of the community. And if they cannot go to farm again, and they have to be out of fear, and they are not even safe in their the local community. So this was raised in the meetings that have to, and so money was raised within ourselves. Because if you are going to wait for government to do the funding, because funding is the major challenge. They have to buy weapons, they have to get a license, they have to buy revolver, guns, because you can't give this vigilante day gun that they were using in the old days, because people who are carrying automatic weapons. So you have to go a step further to do all of that and make them mobile, so that and make them be able to be alert even in the night. So, and you need to have many of them. You have to increase their number, because it's not what few people can do. So these are the things, and they have to be motivated by monthly stipend that be paid to them, so that motivates them to be able to know that this, they have to do it. They have to give it their best. So that was what was done, and I can't say that of my community now. That is safe, and those of us that are in Lagos, when we have to visit home, we know that even the community is safe. So other communities have to copy that, because you can't wait for the government. The government can encourage. Government can have a strategic location where armed security are, so that if you need to call upon them, if you are overwhelmed by the local vigilantes, if they cannot cope, these military men that are stationed strategically, we are lucky in our community, because we are also a border community, so we have a military checkpoint. So, but the military checkpoint that are there are few men that are there. They cannot secure the whole community. So, but if they have to be called upon, and because they have the vehicle, they have the patrol vehicle, so they help to go around once in a while to support the local vigilante, and that's what I think can work. But
I want you to be very specific, Dr. Olorunda. How important is the role of traditional institutions? What more can these traditional rulers do in securing their communities? I mean, if you say that we cannot always wait for governments.
Well, it's to rally support for the community, because the traditional institutions have always been a rallying point. Is to see, okay, what can we do? This is the problem that we are facing, and the rally serve as a rally point for the community. If they have to call on the government, they are the one who goes to meet the political leaders, having meetings, and say, this is what we are going through in our community. This is the help that we need. Please deploy. We need the deployment of, a detachment of this, of that. And the vigilantes, we are going to raise them, but vigilantes will also need the support, you know, of the armed security, armed soldiers or armed forces to support the local vigilante. And that's the way, that's the strategy that can also, the traditional institution is just to rally support of the community, to serve as a rallying point, so that brings the community together, and you now know that you have a job to secure your own community, because you can't wait for government to secure all the community. The community themselves have to take the ownership of the security of their lives and property, and call on government to assist them.
But also, you know, late Governor Akeredolu had always advocated for Amotekun to bear appropriate tools and weapons. Is it high time this happened?
Yes, I think so far that I know, the Amotekun now, I think they moved them. When they started, they were like, oh, the one I saw, because I also serve in the armed forces. So I know that you cannot face the criminal with day guns. They started with local guns, day guns that cannot match what the criminals are carrying. And then they went a step further to say, okay, they can also get license that government would procure for them, so that at least that makes them, you know that, okay, you have, because number one is self-defense. If you are going to face this criminal, you know that you are equipped yourself, and not just with a day gun that cannot do anything, that cannot match what the criminals are carrying. But I think they went a step further by getting them automatic weapons also, because they know that this criminal, how do they procure their own automatic weapon that they carry up and down? So why will you now say that Amotekun? Because that was the bone of contention initially, that yes, we will allow you to have Amotekun, yes, but we will not allow Amotekun to carry automatic weapons. And I think that hurdle was crossed, even while our late governor was still there. So that, look, they have to carry something that they can use to match what the criminals are carrying. And I think so, if there's equal force from the other side, you know, the criminal know that, oh, these people also carry the kind of weapon that we carry. So they are deterred from making incursion into the village, or even daring the community and trying to, you know, wreak the havoc on the community. So I think that has been done.
All right, before I let you go, I mean, in 30 seconds, do you also think it's time for federal government to ban open grazing? Well,
you know, that has been said, and I think it's in the political realm, because they will tell you that constitutionally, these people are nothing restrict them from moving their cattle from here and there. And I think there was that kind of conversation in the last administration that, okay, we are going to do a ranch, we are going to put them in ranches, and that conversation was going on. But I think from my understanding, that there were a conversation that, look, Nigeria is a country where people are free to move, and they have the right to move from wherever they are moving from to everywhere they are going. And so open grazing has not been banned. I think, you know, I think in the Southwest, I think Ekiti State make an attempt to do that during the priority regime. I don't know what the position of, I'm not a lawyer, but I think something like that.
All right, security consultant, Dr. Felix Olorunda, thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Please have a great weekend. Thank you. And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at midnight. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Good night, everyone.